What happens when you walk away from your identity? Your whole reality crumbles before you and you start to fall into what feels like an endless pit. Anyone that's been watching my content will know me for my boxing. Boxing has been an extremely important part of my life, and it still is to this day. I don't think boxing will ever leave me. Anytime I try to walk away from the sport, I always come back to it in some form, and I'm totally okay with that. And if you've seen the content that I've managed to put out over the past 4 to 5 months, you would understand that I've taken a step back from boxing completely. And since I've done that, I've been on a journey to better my own mental health. And it's been really tough. Before I share with you my journey to bettering my mental health, I really want to know how you are doing. I genuinely want to know, so please leave down in the comments just a brief explanation if you like, or longer, whatever you want to put down there in the comments, of just how you're doing recently. I want to know. I want this channel to be a safe place for anyone that's subscribed to me, anyone that watches my content, because that's what my channel is about. It's about sharing how you feel and being real, being raw. Okay, so let's begin. Deleting my identity and facing uncomfortability. Boxing was my whole identity and also an escape from my darkest thoughts. Being isolated from that comfortability I had from boxing, I very quickly realized how much of a crutch boxing was for me. Without those components of my past reality, I was completely and utterly lost. I realized that I did not like who I truly was. My opinion on myself was very negative. And to add to that, I didn't have a clear path of where life was taking me. I had no direction. To feel purposeful, you need a creative outlet. It's very important. As well as this, you need to be exercising. Exercise is a very important outlet for your mental well-being. I found out pretty quickly how important exercise is. And so when I stepped away from boxing, I did not have either of these outlets of creativity and mental well-being. But after a month or so into stepping back, I began to take myself to the weightlifting gym. I had a brief workout plan, and I kind of just assumed that was my new path. I felt like I had just fallen into this new category of sport, of fitness. And I just thought that was it. Like, that's my thing now. That's what I'm gonna be doing. But I found out pretty quickly that it was not at all fulfilling. Although I was learning how to lift, and that was interesting to some degree, I was not passionate about it, and so I fell off pretty quickly. So I tried to begin another form of exercise, but it did not last very long, maybe a month or so. So I was back to not working out. As well as not working out, I began to isolate myself from my friends and family. My perspective on life was truly dark. My mentality was, why me? I was blaming my environment and circumstances, but I was not blaming myself, and that led me in no direction whatsoever. I wasn't even trying to find a new path because I wasn't taking responsibility for my own life. I didn't believe I was a master of my own destiny, but that is the truth. My worst traits started to show themselves. Anger, self-sabotage, anxiety, jealousy, addiction, sorrow. The moment I stepped away from boxing, I began to drown, and I wasn't even trying to swim back up. However, surprisingly, drowning eventually taught me how to swim again, because there's only so much pain you can take, and I had taken enough. And this is where everything started to change for me. How did I begin to help myself? Part 1, connecting with nature. My first step to better mental health was through connecting with nature. I did this by going on long walks through the forest. Being privileged enough to have a forest behind my back garden, I took full advantage. The walks were slow and meaningful. I made sure to be aware of surrounding nature with every breath. This was also my form of exercise at the time. So I was basically hitting 2 birds with 1 stone. There was still work to be done, but I'd finally taken the first step for my mental health. As I went for these walks, I started to remember how good it is to be surrounded by nature, just what it does for you. You start to feel a sense of relief, and your head starts to clear a little bit. And this is what happened for me. I wasn't so overcrowded by thoughts. There was still a lot of thoughts there, but the first step to clearing my mind for the better was from going on those walks. And I advise you, if you are stuck and you don't know what to do, go for a walk. That is the first step. Part 2, talking to a therapist. Contacting a therapist was pivotal for me. My first session enlightened me on what else I needed to do to help myself. We spoke about the use of journaling and meditating, and these practices were to be done daily. The key was to be consistent. That was very, very important, because it's not, these sort of new habits can't be lackluster. You have to install the habit as a daily ritual, and so I made it part of my morning routine. Within the space of 3 to 4 weeks, with the help of weekly therapy sessions as well, I began to install these habits, and as well as helping me to initiate these new habits, therapy allowed me to open up. I was able to talk about my feelings, and I found that I just needed someone to speak to. I didn't even need years of therapy. I just needed someone to speak to openly and just let someone know what is going on in my mind. Part 3, power of meditation, journaling, and positive affirmations. As the days passed, my head began to clear. My therapist and I decided to go down to 1 session a month. This was a result of installing the habits that she had told me to get into, the meditating, the journaling. Because I was putting the work in and I had been able to open up from the get-go, I didn't need these weekly sessions anymore. Some people do, but for me personally, I didn't need them anymore, and I knew this in my head. And I remember thinking before one of my weekly sessions, I thought in my head, I'm not sure I need this every week. And coincidentally, we then had a conversation that my therapist started within our session about going down to once a month. And straight away I agreed with her. I thought, yes, I could still do with speaking to someone, but it does not need to be weekly anymore. So what has journaling done for me? Journaling daily has allowed me to better understand how I feel day to day. It began to give me a relief because I was able to navigate through the clutter of my thoughts and understand my thoughts better. And in combination with that, I used a daily affirmation journal. This helped me to install positive thoughts and energy. And if you want to get a daily affirmation journal, I'll leave a link down below so you can grab one yourself. And I'll tell you what took my self-help to the next level. It was the meditation. And all I did was start with 3 minutes a day, just to get into the habit of doing it. Although it was still beneficial to do 3 minutes, this allowed me to ease into meditation and generate the practice into a good habit. As time went on, I was able to meditate for longer and become more spiritual. This habit started a spark of curiosity for me to further research into a topic I was already intrigued about. Part 4, replacing social media for reading. Doom scrolling, self-comparison, and wasting time was detrimental to my mental health. It most likely has been or is for you as well. I decided to remove social media to clear my head. It stopped me from comparing myself to others so much, which is something I've struggled with my whole life. It also allowed me to desexualize my brain, as I was not constantly looking at overly exaggerated female attributes so often. Instead of using social media, I turned to reading daily. Just like meditation, I just started with a few minutes a day. It just allowed me to get into that habit. All being that I was doing that with that purpose in mind, I was reading, I was learning, even though it's 3 minutes a day or however long I did. Even just a minute a day is better than nothing. And now I read at any opportunity I get. I'm currently reading 3 books. The first one I'm reading is Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's one that I'm rereading. I first read that book when I was a lot younger, and so my perception on what James talks about in this book has definitely changed. And I knew that because it'd been so long since I've read it. And it was a book that did help me at the time. So I thought, what else could I get out of this book? And I'm enjoying it so far. I'm nearly done with the book. It is great for installing good habits and getting rid of the bad habits, replacing the bad habits with the good habits. Highly recommend it. The next one I'm reading is BioGeometry Signatures by Dr.Ibrahim Karim. It's a very scientific book, but again, it's another one I'm enjoying. It's one of those books where you have to read the whole book itself to understand it and then come back to it a few years later. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to finish the book off and then I'll come back to it in a few years. And the last one I'm reading, I usually read this one whilst I'm at the gym, if I remember to. It's The Muscle Ladder by Jeff Nippard. It's a very big book. I've got it on my phone, so it's easy for me to use whilst I'm in the gym. If you want a basic understanding on looking after your body through the use of weightlifting, then I highly recommend it. All these books, I'll leave a link down below in the description. I do plan to talk a bit more deeply about the effects of social media in another video, the impact of replacing social media for reading, but that will be in another video. Part 5, revisiting my spirituality with higher intentions. Life itself is something we are all curious about to some extent, and it is something I've always been curious about. I've always had a lot of questions about life. I've definitely had quite a vast thought process about life and the meaning of life, the purpose of us. I fell deeper into my own spirituality because I knew I needed to change my outlook, as my current view was weighing me down and not allowing me to grow into what I wanted to become, who I wanted to become. And this is where I revisited a content creator I'd been following for years, and that creator is Kaizen. He's roughly the same age as me, and he's someone that I relate to heavily. Kaizen is a young awoken spiritual content creator. He is heavily invested in the subject and has the exact outlook on life that I believe in. He reminded me about the importance of love, not entertaining negative energy, embracing your inner child self, sacral blockages, becoming your higher self, destroying your lower self, and synchronicity. These are all things that I resonated with as Jay spoke about them in his videos. He has opened the door for me to explore such a vast, interesting, and powerful avenue, and I've already fallen in love with it. How has my perspective on life changed now? Part 1, vibrating from love, removing negative energy and thought patterns. From using my good habits I had installed into my daily routine, I recognized what energy I was emitting on a daily basis. Anger was one of the main emotions I was acting on. It was emitted at home, at work, to my close family and friends, and to the public, because I wasn't happy with myself. And more so, I wasn't appreciating or loving the present moment. I was not at all present. I was just full of rage, full of anger, and it was not serving me well at all. Through the use of studying Kaizen's wise perspective, I was able to heighten my vibration and focus on only emitting love. My inner world and my outer world is now solely focused on love. I now think that love is the answer to life, and I think it's something we all know. I definitely knew this, but to the extent that I now know, I didn't tap into my whole life until now. That's where you find true happiness. I found that before I would lean on others to give me love, when really I needed to be expressing my love to everyone, family, friends, random people in public. Emit that energy, you're gonna get it back. What you emit, you will then receive. I found that anytime I was angry, my inner and outer world became dull, it became negative. My experiences at work could be filled with rage, negative experiences with people around me. Then you'll set up even worse for the next day. And it just spirals, and that's what I found. So, as soon as I started to emit this love, that's all I was getting back, is that love, which makes you want to give out more love. So as my energy heightened, my outer world began to change. Work became a happier place to be. Home felt like home again, and my interactions with others became genuine and meaningful. True intent with my conversations, being fully present to actually listen to someone and know what they're saying, rather than being so in my head, getting lost in the conversation. For example, someone could talk to me, and halfway through the conversation, I'm just gone. I'm not even in the conversation. I'm literally lost in my own head. And it would happen all the time, with pretty much every conversation I would have with someone. Part 2, tapping into synchronism and trusting the process of life. But first of all, what is synchronicity? What is synchronism? Synchronicity is the simultaneous occurrence of events which appear significantly related but have no discernible causal connection. My relationship with synchronicity has been powerful and also beautiful. For me, synchronicity has been present through the acknowledgement of repeating number sequences, or better known as angelic numbers. Throughout the pivotal moments in my life over the past few years, I've seen angelic numbers repeatedly. I had heard of the belief in these numbers and what they mean, but I'd never researched it myself. The numbers I had seen, and I still see now, are 111, 222, and 1515. Primarily, 1515 is the number I see on digital clocks quite a lot. I researched the spiritual meaning of these numbers and resonated well with their meaning, and I felt a sense of comfort in knowing their meaning. 1111 or 111 means you are in sync with the universe. Your thoughts, intentions, and emotions are currently powerful. 2222 or 222 means for you to trust the process. You're being asked to have faith and patience. Things are unfolding, even if you can't see the full picture right now. 1515 means there are life changes coming, and you should embrace them. It may be time to let go of old habits or patterns to make space for growth. And 1515 is one that I've seen a lot recently. Like I say, these numbers have given me an inner comfort with my journey, allowing me to accept that I'm on the right path. And I've definitely had periods throughout my life, especially growing into an adult, where I have felt like I'm on the right path. For example, the competing as a boxer, that was a path for me. I saw that as my path. I was creating content around it as well. So the point is, that felt purposeful. That felt like I was on the right path. But to then know that you're always on the right path, that is way better, because everything you do throughout your day, whether it's working on a business or just waking up in the morning and making a coffee, to know you're on the right path, there's nothing more you need to do. You just need to flow with what's going on right now. It's comforting. Part 3, prioritizing clean eating and regular exercise. Every day now, I'm prioritizing eating clean and exercising, usually once a day. Usually. Like, I'm camping at the moment, so I'm not exactly exercising. I'm doing a little walking. Usually I'm making sure I'm going to the gym. I try not to eat at least 2 hours before I'm trying to sleep. And I won't eat again until late morning / early afternoon. I mean, if I've exercised in the morning, then I will then have some breakfast, I will then eat. But I find that if I eat in the morning, I tend to crash. And I also find I've got a lot of energy in the morning, up until about 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. My energy's quite high anyway. So for me personally, I don't need to wake up and have breakfast straight away, not usually. And a lot of people would refer to my dynamic with not eating in the morning as intermittent fasting. When it comes to what I'm eating, I am prioritizing organic foods high in protein and healthy fats. Eating healthy makes you feel good, and I can definitely preach that myself. And as for exercise, I am mixing weightlifting with boxing and running. I'm enjoying this dynamic as I have a goal in mind, which is to get stronger, leaner and faster, and healthier. I want to feel good in my body. And of course, rest days are important too. They are very important. And I tend to just listen to my body as of when I feel the need to take a day off. So I've come a long way from where I was mentally 5 months ago. And I now feel like I'm finally living, and things are actually working for me now. I feel like as I've changed my perspective on life, I'm now able to experience life the way I want to, and it's attracting good energy to me. I feel like I'm getting more opportunities now. I also want to mention that my perspective on life is just my own perspective. Some of you will resonate with it, some of you will agree with it, and some of you will not. Some of you have your own perspective on life, your own religion, your own spirituality, and that's totally fine. There's no problem with that. But I just want to share what my perspective has done for me now. And if you know me, you will know that I have been struggling. My new perspective currently is been so helpful. It's been so helpful. I feel so much better. I rarely have a bad day now. Rarely, very, very rarely, because my whole perspective on everything has changed. I see anything negatively that happens as a lesson. I see how am I going to learn from this? What is the lesson to be learnt here? It helps so much. It's something I did install throughout my boxing with those losses. Instead of looking at them as losses, I started to look at them as lessons, and really, truly looking at them as that perspective, because it changes your whole outlook on negativity. Anyway, so that's the end of the video. I hope the video was helpful and insightful, and I will catch you again soon.